Hello everyone. So today we will be basically discussing about JSPs, Java Server Pages. So in our previous classes, we have seen what do we mean by the web technologies, what do we mean by the servlets, and you understood how to basically write the basic servlet programming, how the session tracking is done using the cookies, how the request forwarding is basically done using the request dispatcher. There are two different techniques. One is forward and the other one is basically include. So this we have covered in the previous classes. So today we will basically see the JSPs, which are one of the most important servlet technology, so one of the most important server technologies which have evolved over the time. Okay, so if you remember, we have studied the MVC architecture, okay, where we have the model, view, and the controller. So in the basic architecture, I had explained that typically when we say the business logic is kept inside the controllers in the form of servlets, the presentation layer is basically given by the JSPs, because JSPs are very close to HTML. So if you are comfortable with HTML, then it becomes very easy for you to develop the JSP files, and the data part of it, that is a model part of it, is formed by the databases, which is connected with the beans. Okay, so let's quickly start off with some of the important concepts in the JSPs. So Java server pages, okay. So we'll be basically going through what is JSPs, why the JSPs came into picture when already servlets are there. And we will study the architecture of the JSPs, the life cycle, the how to come up with the hello world program of the JSPs in Eclipse. Then we will study some of the basic tags, JSP tags. What do we mean by implicit objects and the action tags in JSPs? Okay, so if these frameworks, if you are able to understand, then it's very easy for you to understand the next level of frameworks like springs, okay, configuring them with the web services or configuring them with the Hibernate. It becomes very easy for you to really understand if the concepts of servlets and JSPs is understood well. Okay, so let's have an introduction of JSP. So Java Server Pages is the server side technology. As I have told in the previous classes, they execute on the server side and they help us to basically develop the dynamic web pages. Particularly, the JSPs are used for the presentation layer. So when I say the presentation layer, it means the graphical user interface part. So let us take that we have a ticket booking software. So where the ticket booking software will have the presentation layer, which consists of the buttons and the forms and the text boxes, check boxes to fill up. So typically we write them using the HTML. But we know that in HTML, we can only come up with static pages. Okay, we cannot come up with dynamic pages. However, little bit of client side scripting, like using JavaScript, if you can give, you can bring little bit of dynamicity. However, really, if you want to make it dynamic, then you have to go ahead and use the JSPs, which are purely used for the presentation purpose. So the JSP code, if you see, it will be more or less like the HTML. So if you are comfortable with the HTML, then it's very easy to start coding with JSPs. It's not required that you should be an expert in Java to know the JSPs. JSPs in true sense are an extension to the servlets. Okay, so every JSP is first converted into a servlet by the JSP container before processing the client request. I would like to highlight this point again. I repeat, every JSP file is first converted into a servlet by the JSP container before it is getting processed by the client request. So whatever code you are basically going to write in the JSP, your container, JSP container, when I say, let us assume if you use Apache Tomcat server, then your Tomcat server will be responsible for converting this JSP into a servlet and then basically go ahead and process the client request. So every HTML will have an extension .html. Every servlet file will have an extension .java. Same way, here every JSP file will have an extension called as .jsp. Okay. Then what is differentiating the JSP from the HTML? HTML, as we know that it consists of simple tags, which is easily understood by your web browser. On the other hand, the JSP will also have little bit of Java code inside these HTML. We will be able to embed the Java code in the HTML using this JSP tags. I would like to rephrase the word embed. When I say embed, it means when you write the JSP, you are using the HTML code, but inside the HTML, you can write wherever you want to bring the dynamicity of the code using the Java language. And to put this Java language inside your HTML in the JSP file, we need some special syntax, and these syntax are called as the JSP tags. So I would like to repeat once again what I'm saying. JSPs are very close to HTML. So we know that the fundamentals of HTML, it will have a header, it will have the body part. So everything will have the tags. Anything you write inside the tag, based upon what kind of tags you are using, it will be converted and displayed by your browser. However, HTMLs are purely used for static programming. Okay, you want to show something to the user, you can use HTMLs. But if you want to take the input from the user, then just HTML may not be sufficient. At that time, you have to bring dynamic programming technologies, okay, for constructing dynamic web pages. One such technology is the JSPs, Java Server Pages. JSPs are very close to HTML syntax, where you can embed the Java code using the JSP tags. Now let's see a simple example. Okay, so if you see this slide, this is a typical JSP code. So from the first instant, if you see this code, it is looking like a typical HTML code only, right? So you can see here, we have HTML tag, okay, that shows that the entire code is an HTML. This complete code is an HTML. It basically shows it. Then followed by the header part. Then comes the body part. This we are very familiar because we know the HTML coding. But apart from this, if you see, we have used this something called as an angle bracket and a percentage. Okay, here also you can see we have used something with an angle bracket and a percentage. These are called as the JSP tags. These are called as the JSP tags, which brings specific meaning inside your code. I repeat, these are meant to be the JSP tags, which bring some specific meaning inside your JSP code, because whatever is written inside them are now the Java code. For example, if you see here, angle bracket percentage, here is a JSP comment. So if you want to write some message or a comment, you have to use this particular tag. If you see further here, we have out.print. Okay, out.print. So it is used to print something on the UI interface of the client. And what is it going to print? Hello sample JSP code. So if you remember our servlet programming, we also had print stream object, right? Using the print stream object, we used to call out.print. We used to call out.print. So same thing is happening here also. However, if you see, I have not declared anywhere out in this entire code. If you search, I have not written anywhere out. What is out? I don't know. But your JSP compiler will be able to understand it because it is an implicit object. Okay, because it's an implicit object which you don't have to create, but you can directly use it. We will study that in detail in further classes. So as of now, just understand that this code is a simple JSP code. If you divide it, you can see we have the HTML, header, title, head code. Okay, then comes the body part. Inside the body, we will print the message, hello sample JSP code. Okay, so the explanation, as I told, this particular line represents the comment. Okay, the JSP comments are basically written. then comes the header, title, and the body. And anything you write within the angle bracket and percentage, it is called as scriptlets. They are basically called as scriptlets in JSPs. Scriptlets is a Java statement, okay, that may end with a semicolon. For example, out.print hello sample JSP code. It is now a Java code. And now that you have put it inside an HTML, and the entire file is now called as a JSP file. So the general syntax is angle bracket open percentage followed by any kind of Java code. Okay. Same way, angle bracket percentage followed by your Java code. So this is a typical example of the scriptlets that you can basically use. Now, let's see quickly the difference between the servlets and the JSPs. So, what is the difference between the servlets and the JSPs? As we know, both of them are used for dynamic web content. So, servlet is a pure Java program that are already compiled and which can create the dynamic web content. On the other hand, the JSPs are actually scripting language. Okay. For example, some other scripting languages, if you know about Unix shell scripting, okay, Python scripting language. Scripting languages are much light in weight compared to your regular programming languages like Java, C++, or C. Okay, so JSPs are scripting languages which are used to create the dynamic web content. In case of JSPs, here we are focusing more about the presentation. Okay, so we are worried more about the display information. It is typically used as a viewer layer. On the other hand, servlets, we are more worried about how to process the data which is coming. So we are worried more here about the business logic, how to process that particular information. Hence, the servlets act like the controllers. So if you remember the MVC, the model, view, controller, the view is formed by the JSP, controllers are formed by the servlets. Okay. Now, if you have a lot of data, okay, to basically read, okay, and but you when the data is basically not meant for processing, but you want to just acquire the data, the JSPs are the preferred approach to do it. So they are generally preferred when there is not much of processing of the data required. Okay. However, if the data is so much to process, then we basically go ahead and use the servlets. Now comes the very important concept about the JSPs and the servlets. The JSPs run much slower compared to the servlets. I repeat, the JSPs run much slower to the servlets. Now, why that is happening? The JSPs are first compiled into the Java servlets. In the first slide, I told that when you write a program with .JSP and when you run it, your Tomcat container will first convert that into a servlet. Now, after that, the servlet is converted, which is having a .java extension, to Java C and finally to Java. So it will basically take more amount of time because there is an additional step now, which is converting the JSPs to the servlets. So we can obviously say that the servlets are much faster, okay, compared to the JSPs. However, the JSPs are much easier to code. So somebody who is not from a programming background can also start coding immediately with the JSPs. On the other hand, servlets, you need to be good at Java. Then only you can basically start coding with the servlets. Okay. So if you have something where you want to display a large amount of data, like a report, annual report of the stock exchanges or the report card of all the students in your class, such kind of display of data is there, it is preferred to use the JSPs. On the other hand, if you have a huge examination form where the user is entering the data and pressing the submit button, it is preferred to use the servlets. Okay, am I making the difference clear? When, in what scenarios you have to use the JSPs and what scenarios you have to use the servlets. So the JSPs, I reiterate, are used purely when there is a presentation of the large amount of data. When you want to process large amount of data, the servlets are required. Last and not the least important difference is JSPs have implicit objects. On the other hand, servlets which are pure Java don't have any concept called as implicit object. So if you want to use an object, go ahead and create an object of that particular class and use it. On the other hand, in JSPs, the JSP container already have so many objects available during runtime. You can directly use that object. You don't have to worry about that I have not created an object. It will be available, which will be provided by the Tomcat container at runtime. That's why coding in JSP becomes very, very easy compared to the servlets. Okay. So now let's see the simple JSP page translation and processing phase. So as you can basically see here, the request is basically coming from the client. So we studied in the previous classes that we will have a form in the HTML request and the form action. Okay, you can specify which is the servlet you basically want to connect to. Okay, till now you were giving the servlets there. Now we will give the JSPs inside the action tag. Same way, you can also tell what is the method that you want, whether it is a get method or you basically want a put method. So if you see step number 1, from the client there is a request called as get hello.jsp. So this request comes to the server which has a JSP container. Now there will be hello.jsp on the hard disk of that particular machine. It will be loaded into the memory. Then the JSP is converted into the servlet. That is the first step called as the translation phase. So please understand, the JSP file will be converted into a servlet. Okay, what is the name difference came? Hello.jsp became hello servlet.java. This conversion is automatically taken care by the JSP container which is inside your Apache Tomcat server or any other web server. Once the Java file is generated, next step is to basically compile it. So when we compile, it converts into Java C and after that to dot class file. Once the dot class file is there, then it is loaded into the memory of the JSP container, and from here you will basically create the response for the HTTP file. And this HTML file will basically give you the response for the web page that we have basically given. So I would like to reiterate what I am telling. So the step number 1, as I told in the previous class, if you have an HTML page with the action, okay, that is hello.jsp, and you have the method which is called as the get method. From the client, the request comes to the Tomcat server where your JSP container is running. Okay, this JSP page will be then translated into the Java code. Okay, and it becomes a servlet. This phase is called as the translation phase. So you don't have to worry about it because it is done by the Tomcat server where your JSP container is available. Once the servlet is available, it is compiled, okay, to Java C file and then followed by the dot class file. This dot class file gets executed, okay, and the corresponding response in the form of an HTTP response is given back to the client. So this is the complete flow of how the JSP page translation is basically done, okay, during the translation phase. So here we will basically have okay. Okay, so next step that we can basically see here is how the MVC design pattern is used, starting from the web browser to the controller to the Java Bean and the JSPs. Yeah, so let's see. Let's see how the life cycle of the JSP basically works. So this is the typical life cycle of the JSP. So the first step is the JSP file, and then it gets translated to the servlet file. From the servlet file, it gets converted to the servlet class. Okay. And from the servlet class, if you see, will have the life cycle, which is equivalent to the servlet life cycle, right? So if you recollect, what did we study under the servlet life cycle? What are the three methods which are available under the servlet life cycle? We have the init method, service method, and the destroy method. So you have the JSP init, we have the JSP service, and we have something called as the JSP destroy. So these are the three methods which are basically running, okay, inside your container. So this is how the entire flow happens. So first, let us assume if it is demo.jsp, it gets translated into demo_jsp.java. This Java file gets converted into .class file. This .class file is loaded, and then when you basically start this particular program, you can basically invoke with the init method. I repeat, the init method. Then comes the service method, and the last one is the destroy method. So this is very, very important to understand how does the JSP lifecycle steps work. So why I am telling this is, any kind of initialization, for example, if your JSP wants to connect to a database, or it wants to make a socket connection, it wants to open an SMTP connection for mail sending, all that initialization, like in your servlet, will be taken care by the init function. The init method will run only once during the entire life cycle of your program. The service method will be executed again and again depending upon how many requests are basically coming from the client. Last one is the destroy method, where when the Tomcat server is shutting down, it will kill all the instances of the JSPs and the servlets. At that time, the destroy method will be called and all the resources will be relieved. So destroy also will be called only once during the life cycle of the entire program. So look at the life cycle of a JSP. We have something called as JSP init underscore JSP service and JSP destroy. Okay, so these are the three important steps which are involved in the JSP life cycle. Okay, so now let me quickly tell you a simple program. Okay, before we get into our uh, further into how to deal with it. In your JSPs, it's very important to understand that we have something called as implicit objects. Okay, these implicit objects are created during the transition phase of the JSP to the servlet. They are created by the container automatically, and they can be accessed using the objects. These Implicit objects are directly used inside the scriptlets that basically goes inside the service method. For example, if you remember, in the servlets, we studied uh, javax.servlet.http http servlet request. The corresponding variable name here will be only request. I repeat, in your servlet code, you would have used inside the service method HTTP servlet request. Here, the corresponding implicit object is called as request. You don't have to write the full name. The container will understand. Same way, for HTTP servlet response, here we have the complete variable name called as the response. HTTP session equivalent object name is session. JSP writer is called as out. Okay. Servlet config is called as config. Any kind of exceptions, we call them as exceptions here. Okay. So as I said, out represents a print writer object which is used to send the output to the client. Okay. Now, before we get into it, let me quickly run one program and give you a feel of how exactly it will be there. So, I have created a simple Hello World program in JSP. I will tell you in detail about how to create the project and all in the next class. But just to make you understand, this is a simple Hello JSP program. As we created for servlets, it is also a dynamic web project. It will have a folder called as SRC, but I am not writing anything in Java. So the SRC folder is empty. Under the web content, I have metainf and webinf. Under webinf, I have web.xml. Under the web content, I repeat, under the web content, it's a web content, I will be writing the hello JSP test.java. Hello JSP test.jsp. It's a JSP file. So this is how the code of the JSP file will be there. If you see suddenly, it looks like a HTML code, but we will try to embed some of the basic uh, Java code and we will try to run it. Now, if I right click and run this particular project, I will basically get the output, hello world, welcome to JSP programming. See here, hello world, welcome to JSP programming. So if you run that program, you on the same machine, localhost, port number 8085, okay, hello JSP program, followed by the JSP page, you will see hello world, welcome to JSP programming. So if you can understand here that it's very easy to code with the JSP. So in the next session, we will see how to create the basic JSPs in the Eclipse platform, and we will study further into the details of the things. Thank you.